Okay, yes.
So this is the one we have to do to turn it on.
Is that how it works?
That's as far as it goes.
Just one. Okay, thanks, Brett.
So we are, Chair Malone, we are recording at the moment. If you have any announcements about extending the start time,
Yes,
delayed start time
yes,
till 4:10.
yes, we can delay the start time until 4:10. Our apologies, we try to get some things situated.
Thank you.
We are good to go. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate your flexibility as we had to delay our start time a little bit to get some things situated. Now that we officially almost have everyone signed in, I'd like to go ahead and officially call this meeting to order. And in that, I'd like to now turn things over to Secretary O'Keefe to do the formal roll call.
Thank you, Chair Malone. Xavier Bay.
Present.
Jose Hernandez.
Present.
Bernie Jackson.
Present.
Mikhail Jean-Baptiste. Not present. Jennifer Kipp.
Present.
Dan Lehman.
Present.
Samir Malone.
Present.
Sarah O'Keefe, I'm present. Gray Oleski.
Present.
Alexi. Sorry, I say
Yes.
your name incorrect every time. Tom Schreiber.
Present.
Thank you. Jenny Spencer.
Present.
Divya Sridhar.
Present.
Thank you. Rick Switalski.
Here.
Roger Tokars.
Here.
I thought Roger was here. Right?
Roger is present.
Okay.
Roger's things are here.
Yes.
Did he sign? Well, I'll make sure he signs in. Okay. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Well, first and foremost, I wanted to take a few moments to talk about a few housekeeping items before I go into my more formal remarks. As you all noticed, we have a new orientation here in the room. We're trying out something new. We received a little bit of feedback about being able to engage with one another. As you guys know, our formal orientation was a bit more linear, where we had to kind of look down to engage with each other. So we're trying this out for speed to see how this forms in terms of the commission members being able to interact with each other more. Come on. And with that new orientation in the room change, we realized that we still have public participants here in the room. So we would ask those whose backs are turned to public participants whenever there's opportunity and room for public comment that you just shift and engage with the audience. Thank you so much. And then also one other note for housekeeping, we realized that for the last few commission meetings, thank you. For the last few commission meetings, we have had presentations, and sometimes when we have a presentation streaming, folks cannot see who's actually talking. They can't see the face of the person that's talking. So we're just going to ask if you all make comment, can you just state your name beforehand so we can make sure that we capture that in the live streaming as well as the recordings. Well, first and foremost, thank you everyone for attending today's commission meeting. As always, I am so grateful for our commission members as well as our public attendees for today. And I just want to set the groundwork for what the Urban Forestry Commission serves as. We serve as a beacon of guidance dedicated to advising the mayor and city council on policies and regulations that enhance our tree canopy and the vibrancy of our neighborhoods. As outlined in our mission, we are committed to providing strategic advice to help implement best practices, fostering growth and maintenance for city urban tree canopy. And under the purview of UFC, our duties encompass a wide variety of responsibilities, including assisting in the adoption of the urban forestry management plan, maintaining comprehensive inventory of trees, offering recommendations for policy and plans, and monitoring the implementation of citywide initiatives. So that together we can revitalize our city's urban forestry tree canopy. And with that being said, I do have my own personal note to make as chair. And I shared this information out with our city council president as well as Councilwoman Spencer, because I am a city council appointee. I recently just stepped down from my role as executive director of the Cleveland Tree Coalition. I had the great pleasure of serving as the inaugural executive director over the last 2 years. The organization had tremendous momentum and growth, and I am just owe so much gratitude to our members and many of you all who had the opportunity to work alongside over the last 2 years. And with that being said, although I share that with a deep sense of emotion, I'm happy to share that I have now transitioned over to a new organization. I am now the director of urban forestry initiatives and the national urban forestry portfolio lead. A lot of letters, a lot of names. For USDN and the Center for Regenerative Solutions. So really happy to be able to still work strategically here with the city of Cleveland as one of our key partners in that work, and being able to elevate the work that we're doing here to a national platform, as well as bringing some of those resources and spotlight to the amazing city. So I thank you for allowing me to still serve as chair of the commission. And I'm still fighting the good fight alongside all of you. And with that being said, I'd like to move on to the approval of the meeting minutes.
Yes, so the meeting minutes were sent around by Anna Zaremba, Nature-Based Solutions Manager. All the commission members should have received them. We changed the process. Hopefully we'll have noticed to send them much earlier than just a week before. So I believe we sent them out at least a month, if not more, beforehand. So thank you. Please expect that from now on you will get draft minutes within a couple of weeks, hopefully, of this meeting, and then you can respond and add anything to them. I understand there were some submission by email on Friday, but that is a budget committee level, right? Or was there, did you want to read out your amended?
Sure.
Amendment? Okay.
And we're supposed to say our name of who's speaking?
Yes.
Okay, this is Jenny Spencer speaking. And yes, and I really appreciated that the minutes were sent out so promptly. I commit to, if I have any changes to the minutes, I will get them back in more promptly. But yes, I did have a submitted change to the portion of the minutes under 3 budget committee. So I have language that I submitted in writing. Would you like me to read it verbally or? Yes. Okay. So I was changing the current letter A to as follows. So overall complaint-driven maintenance need based on number of work orders in city system is approximately 2.9 million. However, about 2.4 million is the priority based on the public safety of the community, e.g. critical prunes and removals. The recent request to ODNR reflects the importance of critical prunes. City council members also have a high degree of interest in stump grinding. So I did put that in writing. It's a lot to, I think, read it. But I did want to make a motion to update the minutes from our January meeting to reflect that portion under Budget Committee.
I second that motion.
And can I have anyone to, you say you second the motion?
Yep.
Okay,
Discussion.
all in favor? Oh, or
Discussion.
Bill, for any other discussion?
On that committee.
I'd like to also open up the floor if there are any other revisions needed to be made to the meeting minutes from January. All right, well, all in favor of moving forward with the approved minutes with the conditions that we make the adjustments? All in favor, say aye.
I,
All right. Let's go ahead and move forward with unfinished business. I'm going to turn things over to Vice Chair Ed to give an update.
all right, thanks, Chair Malone. This is Jennifer Kipp, and we did submit an application, for those of you who don't know, to ODNR, the Division of Forestry, and as kind of appropriate, based on Councilmember Spencer's update to the approved minutes or amended minutes, we did apply for over $900,000, a little less than $1 million, to try to tackle some critical pruning of our right-of-way trees specifically. We were not fortunate enough, I suppose, to get the grant award. But we did write letters of support to other organizations in the Cleveland area. We did work in concert with them even before we submitted our application to make sure that our applications were not competing with one another. And two of those organizations who were awarded the ODNR grant funds in the Cleveland area are Western Reserve Land Conservancy and Holden Forest and Gardens. So I'm actually going to, at this time, turn it over to Tom Schreiber, our chair, our commission member of Western Reserve Land Conservancy. So you could talk a little bit about the award that you received from ODNR, please.
Oh, thanks, Tom Schreiber, and we're thrilled to have received funding from the state for our tree planting and maintenance operations. The funding is going to ensure that our watering and establishment program continues to execute on the more than 400 trees we'll plant in Cleveland during the grant period. We're very proud of the fact that we water and maintain our trees. So our crews are out in the summer watering over 400 trees a week in the city for 3 years after the time that we plant them. So we're really grateful to the state and grateful to the commission for the letter of support to ensure that our program funding continues.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Like I said, we also wrote a letter of support to Holden Forest and Gardens, and I just wanted to, their program received funding, their tree corps program is specifically what they received funding for, and I believe it's to expand their tree corps program. They focus their tree corps volunteers workforce in Cleveland neighborhoods, specifically the disadvantaged neighborhoods, using various CGES tool and other measures. So they are expanding that program, and also the applications are open right now. I don't know if anybody is aware. The tree corps program, similarly to the stewarding that Western Reserve does, they also focus on stewarding new trees, newly planted trees, by watering, mulching, training their workforce in the tree corps to learn young tree training, which we know is really important to establish proper structure in our young trees. So those are the two. We don't have anyone from Holden Forest and Gardens with us, but I hope I did a good job explaining that program. If you need to find out more, certainly check out the website. As I said, the applications are open now for their tree corps program. Any comments or questions on the two grants that we just reviewed? Okay.
No question, just comment. I was gonna say, I'm really excited that both the Holden Forest and Gardens and West Reserve Land Conservancy team were awarded the funds. They've been really key strategic partners in not only planting, but establishment. As we all know, maintenance and dollars for establishment is very hard to come by often. So it's exciting to see that they were awarded those funds and we know will be deploying them in best practice. All right, well, if we have nothing else for the unfinished business, we'd like to move on to new business. So I actually am going to turn things over to Secretary O'Keefe for an update on commission positions.
Yes, thank you. Sarah O'Keefe speaking. So as the appointee from the mayor's side of this commission, I am the Director for Sustainability and Climate Justice, as you all know, but I am delegating this position to a member of my staff. So the member of the staff who will be the commission member going forward, starting basically this evening, would be Anna Zaremba. She is our nature-based solutions manager. If we could all give her a round of applause. So Anna has been preparing for these meetings for a few months now, probably like 6 months or so, and been very involved in the Urban Forestry Committee, executive committee meetings as well as a kind of training period. So she's all up to speed and has been working very closely with a number of you already know her. If you don't, please, you will get to know her in our committee meetings. So Anna, thank you for taking on this task.
Welcome, Anna.
Welcome, Anna. We are very happy to have you. I am sure I've worked very closely with Anna, and I can assure that she will be a value add to the commission. Very excited to have her on board.
May I ask a clarifying question about, does Anna become a member of the commission itself, or?
Yes,
So-
and so I am removed from the commission and Anna replaces me.
Okay,
As
well,
my
the
delegate.
applause was for Anna, but not for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not for you being removed. Actually.
it was for Anna.
It's been tremendous having you on the commission. And
Thank you.
so just tremendous value add, and it's wonderful to work with you. I think we can all say that personally and professionally. So welcome, Anna, but you can't go far. We're gonna, be in touch.
Yes. And I feel like I still have to participate in the senior TCA because Anna can't. We can't.
Oh,
participate,
yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
but Anna will do the TCA next year.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's gonna do it.
Okay.
But the timing is. Thank you very much. I appreciate
And
it.
then another follow, I'm sorry, this was also Jenny Spencer speaking still. In terms of some of the funding opportunities, will the commission continue through Anna or working through you directly, continue to have an opportunity to work with the Department of Sustainability, which I think has a really unique position and perspective to identify some of the current and upcoming funding opportunities that may be available to the city for which urban forestry activity may be eligible. What do you have kind of guidance on how you'd like us to work with Department of Sustainability going forward?
It would be the same. It would just be Anna sitting here instead of me. So absolutely, we would, as a part of our mission and vision, to have a thriving green city on a blue lake, to borrow a past tagline, is that we would, our office is tasked with making sure that we're helping to implement the climate action plan, which includes the tree plan, and working with urban forestry very closely to make sure that we are attracting funding is a part of that. Yes. So anything that happens in this commission, Anna that's related to the sustainability, Anna can bring forward, or she can bring forward from the Department of Sustainability. I should say the Mayor's Office of Sustainability.
Mayor's office.
Yes.
Thank you for the correction. All right.
Fantastic.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification, and I'd like to echo that sentiment. It's been a pleasure serving alongside you. Secretary O'Keefe on commission, you will be missed, but we know that you will not be far.
I would also like to add to this. My name is Divya. I would like to add that it's been a pleasure working with you. You've brought a lot of order to it, and I've had the pleasure of working with Anna in the past, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have you in this commission. I do want to congratulate you on being able to delegate this task, because I mean, among other things, there is a lot that this ties in. Again, reinforcing that the Forestry Commission, the work here is around trees, but the work really is a joining of the whole built environment system. So there is a lot that you bring, while Anna's focus here is, talking trees and bringing the overall nature-based solutions and tying them together. The Mayor's Office of Sustainability plays a crucial role with the staff that you have under your guidance to bring all the other members of the different areas of the built environment to talk with one another. So I applaud you on being able to delegate and still maintaining a close relationship, with this committee. So thank you very much for your service here, and welcome, Anna.
Well, to keep the agenda moving along, we now have a bit of update on subcommittees. So we have added a few new kind of procedural things to our subcommittees, which we kicked off last year. So I wanted to use that to set the stage before we go into our discussion of subcommittee report outs. And so just to kind of define what our subcommittees operate as, a committee, except a committee of the whole can appoint a subcommittee which reports to the committee and never to the assembly. The subcommittee must consist of members of the committee except in cases where the committee is appointed to take action that requires assistance of others. In that case, it is best to appoint the committee with the power to appoint such subcommittees as are required, as is frequently done to appoint the committee with power, which means the power to take all steps necessary to carry out its instructions. And there are two types of subcommittees, as we have discussed in previous meetings. We have first and foremost the standing subcommittee, which this commission currently has 3. A standing committee is either wholly or partially elected at the annual meeting in Ordinance Society, and immediately thereafter it recognizes by electing a chairperson, unless there is an appointment by the assembly to serve as chair and a secretary for that subcommittee. Therefore, standing committees must report at annual meetings or before on everything referred to during its year. The motion to rise is never used in standing committees or boards, nor is it used in other committees except when a committee is ready to report, so it will never meet again. And then we have the special committee, or what we often refer to as ad hoc committees, which is appointed for a specific purpose and until the duty assigned by the society is accomplished, then it will continue to exist unless sooner discharged. And so one of the additions that we added, of course, we have been meeting in subcommittees for quite a few months now, but it was brought to our attention that not only are our full quorum commission meetings required to be publicly noticed, but also our subcommittee meetings are. So I wanted to just read a little language from the state of Ohio on open meetings, in which we're using kind of as our North Star for public notice. And we've received kind of some clarity on this is all going to be a part of clarity on subcommittee meetings and notification procedure. So notices of all regular and special meetings of commission shall be posted and disseminated by the Office of Sustainability, acting as a secretary to the committee as follows. UFC shall post a notice of dates, times, and locations of regular meetings on the department's website at least 7 days in advance. And the UFC shall post dates, times, and locations of each special meeting on the website as far in advance of the meeting as practical. The committee shall not schedule special meetings except in the case of emergency. And given that circumstance, there has to be at least 24 hours advance notice given. And after stating that, does anyone have any clarifying questions?
Yeah, sure. Ideas. Would some of the what you've read from tonight, would you willing to just kind of send that off to the group and we can go back to it, like once we break out into our committees?
Yeah.
And reconvene, if we could, that would be really helpful guidance for us to moving forward.
We can make sure that we have that sent out to each commission member, and then we even have some of the folders for subcommittees. We can make sure all of this language is placed in there. Correct.
And just one more clarification.
Yes.
So the Mayor's Office of Sustainability will continue that change doesn't affect that at all, just so everybody knows. And we will continue to post notifications of the commission meetings 7 days prior, and the committee meetings as they are announced and available will also be posted, and we will send around how to do that. We did that kind of ad hoc in the past couple of weeks. So thank you to commission members, committee chairs who gave us the meeting notice, and we put it on our website. So the committee meetings are about 12 hours notice.
Thank you so much. All right, and with that being said, I'd like to transition to our committee update. So I am actually going to turn it over to Commissioner Dan Lehman, and then Commissioner Tom Schreiber, and then Commissioner Jenny Spencer for the maintenance policy and budget report outs. Go ahead, you can go ahead and get things kicked off.
Okay, hi. My name is Dan Lehman, and I want to give you an update regarding maintenance. So we conducted several walking tours in two different neighborhoods of Cleveland to receive feedback on the maintenance needs of the community. And Gray led our first one, and that was in Slavic Village, and we had a very good turnout. And why don't you explain some of our findings, Paul, to the committee?
Yeah, hi, this is Gray Alexi speaking. Yeah, we had our first walkabout on March 22nd, Slavic Village. We had a really good turnout despite the weather not being the greatest. It was a little sleety, icy. We had 18 people during the walkabout. It's split pretty evenly between just community members and members of the committee and local CDC and city council. And some of the takeaways, it was pretty organic. I mean, we just kind of looked at what we saw. So we got to look at some recent oak prunings, some older trees, some of the issues we experienced with like root cuttings on sidewalks. One good thing takeaway was looking at good versus bad power line clearance. We were able to see both of those. And the takeaway, I think, was just a sense of appreciation from community members as being represented and just a desire to do that event again.
Well, thank you very much. So, and then another one we went on was organized by Mikhail, and that was in the Burton Bell Car Development Service area. And we first met at Riddall, and then we walked and we drove to various areas. And the areas where we walked to, we could certainly see where some trees that should have been maintained or could be maintained. Certainly there was an opportunity for that. And then we drove in a different part of the neighborhood, and we saw areas where it wasn't really tree related, but like there was a walkway between two different streets, and you couldn't get by because of overgrown vines. And we saw that certainly as an opportunity. Also along the sidewalk, the different sidewalk, it was difficult because of the overgrowth. And actually, this problem was solved. So it was solved by the city. But you couldn't walk down the sidewalk because of various trees and overgrown areas. And then people couldn't get to the bus stops. So we felt that was important to recognize. And then we also saw really where there's partnerships. And we believe that was one takeaway from this. We saw an area of the city where there was, like Western Reserve Land Conservancy, have planted trees. And actually, as a volunteer with them, I actually helped plant trees in the neighborhood, and I didn't realize what neighborhood I was in, but now I do. So that was good. And then in that same area, they're also developing Habitat for Humanity. They're adding houses, and there's value in that. So you see all these different things kind of coming together and value in different partnerships with the community. Is there anything that you'd like to add, Divya? I mean, you were there as well, and you know the area.
Just a small note there. It was a small group of us that went there, and I think the CDC was asking to see if we could do this walk another time. But really, the idea there was maintenance comes in different forms. In one of those, partnerships were extremely important to make sure things can happen until we can figure out what the system really looks like. The idea of talking about healthy living really to them was looking at the sidewalk and saying how safe are the sidewalks for their residents to be able to walk, especially when some of their trees were really dangling down power lines, which I think is where they were having some difficulty sort of getting some traction. So there was a lot of gratitude to the commission here for again being willing to start thinking about these walkabouts to understand what that looks like in different neighborhoods. Not just that, but also what does that mean for different stakeholders in the whole tree, the forestry program. Again, I'll go back to what Mikhail would have talked about if he was here today, was also that in terms when we're talking about maintenance and growing our canopy, what does it look like when we support our residents with the funding that they need to maintain the trees that they already have, so that we can, on their private property, again, what does it mean towards although we're not talking as a commission directly about investing commission's dollars into the maintenance, there is a component there that pulls in trust. There is a component there that is talking about a shared value of the canopy. What does that look like when we talk about affordability, people with limited income? How do we support them, right? So there is something that he alludes to often in order for us to bring the trust back in order to collectively grow the canopy. So that's one thing that I'll throw back. And I think there's just immense, as a commissioner here, it was extremely eye-opening to walk to different neighborhoods to understand two different mechanisms of how they are looking at it. And to see that if we can propose that we consider doing this on a fairly frequent basis so we all understand what that looks like for different communities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that report out. All right, I'm gonna turn things over to, I believe I said next, yes, Councilor.
Yeah, thank you. Tom Schreiber speaking. The policy committee last met on March 28th and in person at City Hall in the council meeting room. Thank you so much, Councilmember Spencer, for hosting us. In person, we went paragraph by paragraph through section 509 of the city's tree code and compared it very directly to both the the relevant sections of Columbus's tree code and the city of Cincinnati's tree code. We came away with a lot of consensus around changes that could modernize Cleveland section 509 and look forward to continuing that conversation on May 9th, our next meeting, again in the same location here at City Hall.
It's Tom.
All right, and then we have our last report out with budget committee with Council.
Okay, thank you. So Jenny Spencer reporting for the budget committee. We met via Zoom on March 19th, and I have to say that I was really pleased, actually. We did post it publicly in accordance with our rules, and we did have a number of members of the public participate in the Zoom as observers, which I appreciated that. I was actually surprised and delighted that people did that and availed themselves of that opportunity to interface with us. Our rules don't allow for public comment during committee hearings, but it was great to have observers. So I wanted to express appreciation for the members of the public who listened in to our meeting. And for members of the budget committee, I do have our full written minutes in our Google Drive folder. And then I think we are gonna, going forward, have that formality of asking us as a committee to approve our minutes when we do meet. So I'll look forward to that. Our meeting was kind of divided into two parts. The beginning part was just sort of a big update on various funding opportunities that had been pursued. Jennifer already spoke to the ODNR grant. We debriefed that in depth. It was very helpful. We talked about other potential grant opportunities. So recognizing that those are often one-time sources of funds, but wanting to make sure that we are aware and taking advantage of upcoming grant opportunities. So we discussed a number of those. We also discussed the authority to receive grants and making sure that legislative authority is in place to receive grants. Then we talked about kind of three big chunks of dollars that are the city's dollars. So the first was the 2024 general fund budget. The final budget was approved by Cleveland City Council on March 19th. And one very beneficial outcome of that budget process was, and I do want to thank Mayor Bibb's administration for this as well. Because of other changes within the budget, we were able to add $1 million to parks, maintenance, and properties under which urban forestry is positioned in our budget. And that $1 million is for contractual services. So even though, so it was, that is really a one-time source of funds, but it was hopefully a big shot in the arm, for lack of a better word, in terms of making progress against those work orders that urban forestry needs to do to fulfill its duties. So that was really exciting, and I know that Jennifer already has those work orders going out the door. So that was one big change, was it adding $1 million to our general fund budget for forestry. That was very exciting. Then another piece we discussed, there's another source of one-time funds, which I'm going to call carryover cash. The city of Cleveland ended 2023 with a budget surplus, which is not typical. It was not for a fully desirable reason, so I don't anticipate it'll happen again. Essentially, it was because of unfilled public safety positions. A lot of you who've been reading the news know that the Bibb administration has done a lot to change pay rates and recruitment for public safety. We just had a big uptick in people applying for public safety positions, including police, fire, and EMS. That's really back on track. But last year, as all of that was being rethought, there was a bit of a lull in hiring. As a result, the city had a more substantial cash balance at the end of the year than anticipated. That is still not legislated yet. That is, I anticipate very, very soon it will be. That is between council and the mayor's office to legislate the uses of that year-end cash balance. I do believe that there is still some funding that will be made available for urban forestry as well from that cash balance. I don't have the exact number, so I'll be able to report back on that when we next meet. And then the third bucket of city funds, for lack of a better word, is the capital budget. Council will begin our capital budget hearings on April 22nd. So, oh my gosh, is that soon? Yes, it's a week from Monday. So we are going to begin capital budget hearings. And so that is essentially related to the city's bond issuance, so general obligation bonds. And I know that Forestry submitted some needs and desires for the capital budget. Council, on the council side, we submit our needs and desires. I did include urban forestry in that as well. I would like to see urban forestry have a consistent presence in the capital budget year over year. If we use general fund dollars for forestry, some portion of that does need to be for planting because of the nature of the funding source. But we'll see how that negotiation ends up for the capital funds. But that is another place where I'd like, again, year over year to really see urban forestry receive some funding. So that really kind of goes into the next part of the budget committee meeting, which is the big picture, which is really we as a committee desire, and we haven't taken formal action on it, but I think we as a commission desire to see urban forestry have a predictable, consistent source of funding. Because I think what's happened in the past is some years it's been a bit of a feast or famine. Some years forestry gets a lot of funding, other years less so, and it's really hard to manage workflow. It really compromises predictability, the ability of the forestry department to staff up appropriately. So we really want to make sure that we as a budget committee focus our attention, especially at our next couple of meetings before the next full commission meeting, towards the task of what are some recommendations that we do hope to formalize through the commission for a more consistent and predictable funding stream for forestry. So we're going to be looking at some best practices from other cities and thinking about a potential path forward for that. There's also some discussion, again, we're not quite ready to make a formal recommendation to the full commission, but there is an interesting question about whether urban forestry should be its own division within the city. So currently forestry is under the division of parks, maintenance, and properties, which is under public works. And there, I think we all have a shared desire and priority for our tree canopy to be elevated as a continued priority of the city, and that may be one way to do so. So that's another ongoing discussion that the budget committee will be having, because that would have budget implications for the city. So a lot of rich discussion already held by the committee, and I'm really looking forward to those continued conversations.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much to our subcommittee chairs for that very comprehensive report out. And before I issue any comment or questions, I wanted to open up the floor for discussion. If anyone has questions or comments on any of the three report out, please.
I just want to thank the individual chairs of each of the committees, and as a participant on each of the committees too. I mean, I get to see firsthand, like all the work that you put into the committee meetings and, you know, how well they're facilitated. And I definitely appreciate that from each and every one of you. And also looking forward to doing more walkabouts because the Slavic Village one, unfortunately, I was unable to attend the other one. That was like, I think it was a huge hit. So, and it was a lot of fun, and it was really great to engage with the residents. And then also, like, we took a deep dive in chapter 509, and that was, you know, we had some, you know, some points where just like maybe disagreeing, but then we ended up coming together, and I walked away from that meeting just feeling really, really just so happy that after this number of years, it's an action item in the Cleveland Tree Plan from 2015, and here we are tackling it. And so I just want to extend my gratitude to all the committee members as well. And then of course, Councilmember Spencer, yeah, all of your work for advocating and helping along with the BIB administration to put that additional $1 million in the budget. So thank you.
I echo all those things. Thank you so much. I do have a question though. I got particularly excited about something that Councilwoman Spencer mentioned. Thank you so much for your advocacy on council for exploring what options we have in terms of budget for the section of forestry. But one of the things that really piqued my interest was, of course, the surplus budget, which that does not happen often. So we are really sitting in a unique opportunity. Do you have any idea? And I know it's in its infancy of figuring out kind of how that's going to flow once they, you know, create legislation to make the funds available. Do you have any idea or whether or not they're anticipating that going into the general fund, or is that something that could be possibly allocated?
So thank you for that question. The carryover dollars are sitting in the general fund currently. They're kind of just waiting to be legislated.
Yes.
And I think that that I had let the council president know that based on the outcome of some of the grant requests of ODNR and based on the outcome of the general fund budget, we would, you know, so this was the nature of the negotiation had to do with what were the other external factors of funding. And so I think that one thing that, although I think Jennifer, as our urban forester, has taught us very well in going through Tree Commission Academy, we know that we as a city are obligated first and foremost to public health and safety when it comes to our urban forest, and that is our clear priority. That said, there is a lot of discussion on council about stumps, and I know that sounds surprising, but sometimes if you're a person, you've had a tree removed in the right of way and the stump remains because of a kind of a funding backlog or it hasn't been funded in a while, there a lot of questions can ensue. And then the virtue too of a stump removal program is then that becomes, we would hope, a planting site in the future. So it's possible that council may be a little explicit about that being for stump grinding, because I know a number of members were interested in that, but I think that actually aligns well with the work order system that Forestry has, and they're there ready and waiting and ready to go when there's funding available. So, yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, as a commission, if there's any way that we can lend capacity to continue that.
Thank you. I sure will.
I just want to comment, as a commissioner being on these subcommittees, this time working on all those subcommittees with tasks that are tangible and looking for next steps to move forward and seeing how they all tie with one another very clearly, truly feels like the commission is getting to work on what we signed up to do. So I want to give a shout out to all the subcommittee members putting in the work and coming together and see how they will flow. I think the next step, as we now talk about subcommittees, it's going to be important for us to see there's a couple of us who are through line on all the subcommittees, and we end up debriefing in a session for us to think about what it would look like to really have a shared space to spend some detailed time going through the work of the subcommittees in flow of each other's work, so that we are tying it better in terms of a process. I mean, figuring out how that sits in within the role of the commission, a working session that puts in all of us in the room to sort of work through whether it is a retreat for the commission or what that has to be. Outside of the time that we spend at the TCA, the Commission Academy, which is something that the commissioners have all committed the first year of their time to. I think going forward, there's room for us to sort of get intentional about how we come together on the learnings of each of these, so we better support each other.
Thank you so much for that comment. I definitely agree with you. I think there's a unique opportunity for us to kind of come together and figure out what the best vehicle is to rely on this approach to making sure that the committees have face time. Of course, we have this time during our agendas to provide report outs, but making sure the work really continues to stay within the ecosystem. That we continue to work through that as a commission. Fantastic. Well, are there any other questions or comments regarding to our report outs? If not, I'd like to go ahead and move us forward in the agenda, and I will be turning it over back to Vice Chair Kip for the TCA junior class updates.
Great, thanks, Chair. This is Jennifer Kipp, and for the viewing audience and the audience in the room, you may have heard TCA thrown out a few times during this meeting. So TCA stands for Tree Commission Academy, and it is a program that was put forth or created rather by the Ohio Division of Natural Resources, Division of Forestry. And so we've been fortunate enough as a commission to go through the freshman and sophomore class. Some of us have gone, I think all of us have gone through freshman, most of us through sophomore and junior. But I do want to just, for those of you who haven't attended and still need to catch up on a class or two, then just want to make sure everybody knows to go to ohioarborist.org. That is the website where the classes in everywhere in Ohio where they are posted, and then you can register directly, or you can email me and say you'd like to register or attend a specific class, and I'll make sure that there's a seat for you and we'll get you registered internally. So definitely check out ohioarborist.org if you have some classes to catch up on. Several of us did attend last week the junior class. That was also in Euclid, hosted by our friends in Euclid. I think there was maybe 6 or 7 other cities present as well in the room. So it's always great to get together with other municipalities and just kind of hear, what kind of challenges they have, and share some ideas, do some brainstorming with each other. And the topics that were covered in the junior class included tree planting and establishment. And so it's been really great just to be in this role, not like as the urban forester, not the vice chair, but just to start to, years ago, change the narrative from it's not about planting, it's about establishment. And so it's all the partners, sitting around the room and people that I've talked to over the last number of years, it's like, this is all clicking and this is all a part of, the narrative now and the importance of it. So that is reinforced in Tree Commission Academy. So that was covered in junior class, as well as then the maintenance of those young trees, like talking about the different steps of young tree training, and then how many, intervals you perform it, and then why is it important, the young tree training, and contracting. So writing contracts. Our new regional forester, Matt Biden, he was kind of getting his training, muscles, developed during TCA, and so he was given the contracting section. So that's that. It's not easy to talk about contracting, no matter like how well versed you are with it. But I thought he did a great job. Covered just a lot of the importance of specifications. Let's make sure that they're specific, right? It's in the word, specifications, and then talked a lot about a contract enforcer. So it's like, not only do you have to have a solid contract, but then someone who's going to make sure that it's being, followed through. And then lastly, tree risk assessment, just kind of did an overview of what is tree risk assessment, how is it a useful tool, and, for municipal foresters and municipalities alike. So it was a great class. They're always great. I went through the whole program in 2012, so it was really nice to have all this knowledge refreshed in me, and then just see it all kind of come together and, as a group. That's all I have. Any questions or comments on Tree Commission Academy or
If I may, yeah, Sarah O'Keefe speaking here. So I was a part of the Euclid classes last week, along with Jenny Gray and Jennifer, and I think they have been really great to talk and to have so many different communities in those academy classes to think about and share ideas about, well, you could do this, or we do this, or somebody else does that. So I've really appreciated that too. But thanks for having us do that. I think that was a great recommendation.
Thank you so much. And just to add on one additional thing to, that is, we are also simultaneously monitoring the website for updates for when they're putting the new sessions on there. So we can also send out a ping to email. I know sometimes we get caught up in the flow of life and work and forget to check back those sites. So we're closely monitoring to make sure you guys have any sessions.
Thanks, Chair.
All right, well, let me turn things over to our national holiday, Arbor Day planning. As many of you all know, we're very exciting. Arbor Day is quickly approaching on Friday, the 26th, but here in the city of Cleveland, we typically celebrate what we call Arbor Week. And I know that there are a wide variety of activities that are going to be taking place during that week of celebration. So we just wanted to give this opportunity for, first and foremost, the city to elevate what their plans are going to be. But I know there are many of our commission members who are also with organizations that are going to be facilitating different events during Arbor Week. So I'll also open up the floor for you to share a little bit about those things. And we plan to share out a little bit more of a comprehensive list of what plans to take place.
Okay, so I'll kick it off. This is Jennifer Kipp. So on Wednesday, April 24th, the city of Cleveland is partnering with ODNR to plant a tree in the Rockefeller Cultural Gardens. We're not sure exactly where. It could be near the lagoon where the Jesse Owens oak tree in the vicinity, perhaps there. But ODNR is celebrating their 75th anniversary. And so they've selected Cleveland. Our regional forester, Matt Leiden, selected Cleveland to be the recipient of that memorial tree. So there'll be a plaque, and they are sourcing the tree. It's going to be a native species, and they supply the tree and bring their entourage, and then we're just going to have fun planting a tree and getting our hands dirty. So that's the event for the city of Cleveland. More details forthcoming. I'm not exactly sure what time yet. Thanks, Chair.
Can I ask a question about that? Can commission members just go?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
Yeah.
because it's publicly announced, it will be, if more than 8 of us show up as a quorum, it's okay for us to just be there, right? Because we're not discussing business. So,
Right.
All right, great. Thank
It'd
you.
be great if everybody.
I'm going to ask Tom, is the RLCT or the Land Conservancy?
Absolutely. We've got our schedule of events is on wrlandconservancy.org, and we're doing community tree plantings in the St. Clair Superior neighborhood on Friday and Saturday of that week.
Are there any other events that are taking place? All right, we can move forward with the next line of business, something we're all very excited about. As many of you all saw in the email that we sent out last week, we are currently looking for a youth appointee for commission. So in accordance with City Ordinance 163.02, the commission has created the opportunity to include a youth representative between the ages of 11 and 17, with the permission of their parents, of course, to serve as a commission member. And we're looking for a young, passionate commission member who is dedicated to serving, but also learning city process. And we're really excited to operate as a body to help support this person. So I ask all of you to share with your social networks. We're currently accepting applications right now until April 19th. Like I said, we sent out an email to you all as a body last week, and we've also been communicating with facing organizations to really elevate this application process. So we just wanted to flag that here, both for public comment and public notice, that we are actively looking for a resident to sit on the commission.
What is the deadline that we are talking about? I think it's 19th.
19th.
In light of the short upcoming deadline, I want to, see what the commission thinks about in terms of a process for this to make sure we're attracting the right number of applications to have the right student on there. Just knowing CMSD schedule based on my kids' schedule, I think April is often a very busy month for, April and May get very busy. And we do want to consider the timing, to make sure we have right students. So, my question here is more of a discussion to see what is the process that we're outlining to make sure that we are getting this right student. What is the selection process on the other hand after we receive applications? What our formal pushes look like with some of these very youth-facing organizations, and how we best leveraging those connections in a way that's easy for them to get the right students to the table that will work for us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Before, I'm sorry to interrupt, I just want to raise a point of order. Just, secretaries are on, but could you just please make a note that, Sarah O'Keefe left the meeting at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much for elevating that question. I think I'll answer the part about process first, and then we can open up to the floor for actual timeline, for our basic improvement of the youth appointee. But basically, as it stands right now, our process is we have a Google form formal application that we are sharing out to various youth-facing organizations and individuals who can help elevate this need and getting applicants to fill out. So that's our process in terms of receiving applications. And we did send out a mass email as well as a letter notifying that we're looking for an applicant. Now, in terms of the review itself, right now, the review is in the hands of the executive committee of the USC, but we're also open to have conversation and dialogue, as I will open up the floor in a second, about the process in itself of timeline. So right now, what we have set is the 19th, but I do believe if, we have discussion, we need to be more flexible about that timeline. We can talk about that as well. Because we want to make sure that we do have enough candidates to select from and make sure that we have due process for selecting a candidate. I agree with the point that if you raise the timeline, I remember being a student between April and May and how hectic that can possibly get. So definitely to be flexible and amenable to make sure that we're meeting the needs not only of commission's timeline, but most importantly, the best timeline for this youth that we will be supporting.
I just have one point to clarify. So the application has been up all year. So it's been on our website and it's been open, had an open application. What, I believe Chair Malone, correct me if I'm wrong, this is now a recent initiative to actually market and try to get more folks to, be interested in applying.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you
just
so
wanted
much.
to clarify.
Thank you so much for that clarification. We have had an open application since the inception of the commission, but this is now an even more intentional effort to make sure that we are marketing, getting out in front, to make sure that we're engaging with these youth-facing organizations to give an equal opportunity. Wow.
Thank you.
So,
Does anybody have a question or comment about what has been raised?
yeah, I think on that note about the question of marketing, I mean, I think I would say pushing back the deadline seems reasonable. But in terms of marketing, the city actually has quite a formidable marketing platform, the city of Cleveland. I'm wondering if we've alerted them, and if we haven't, I'm happy to volunteer. I was going to have Sarah, since Sarah had to leave, but just saying, is this something that can be posted on the city of Cleveland's formal social media channels? I'm not sure if that's happened.
Yeah, it happened
before.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely agree.
So that's something that I just think could have a lot of exposure.
Yeah.
So that seems like something, but do we, I don't see anywhere where there's actually the deadline stated. If you look at the form, it doesn't have a stated deadline. So is it important in today's discussion to establish a firm deadline, or is that what we're seeking to do today as well?
I think if we're all feel comfortable with moving forward with extending the deadline, it could be very helpful for us to begin thinking about what that looks like. I think especially if we're using the framework of having an appointee selected by our next meeting, which is July.
Yeah.
Then we could definitely begin to think about what the deadline for stop for applications is and the time for us to have review of those applications.
I mean, would extending it by a month So Friday, the 17th of May, would that make a difference? I'm not sure, Divya, based on what you were saying about what young people have going on.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Tom Schreiber, have we had any applications yet? We have.
Yes.
Oh, we have?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
We have 2 applications.
Oh.
and then, just a quick follow-up question. Is it a mayoral appointee, the youth member? Okay.
Just a question for Sarah Hernandez. So would it make sense to extend it beyond the end of school? When is the end of school for us?
That would be, I think, some schools close around 12th of June. I'm mistaken, but that's something that I think it's a good thing for us to coordinate with CMSD and other institutions that we are seeking.
Yeah.
This application from, also knowing that our mayor has been extremely vocal in wanting to have youth voices through the youth commissions and other things that he has. I think this would be good for us to sort of confer with. Maybe this body of youth that we have is a good body to sort of confer with, to understand what ideal deadlines might be for them. But I definitely do think that it is the first week of, beyond the first week of June is what I know is the deadline for closing date for CMS.
So if we use that as a guide and a marker for what we're going to extend our dates to, we'd be looking at the first week. Yeah. Does everyone feel comfortable with that time frame? Okay, fantastic. We can definitely make an adjustment in our due date for that. And I just ask all commission members and even participants here today to please elevate the fact that we're looking for a commission member and share the application. We are really excited about this opportunity. As somebody who benefited very early on from participating in commissions and committees as a young person, I know how impactful that is to be able to have a voice in your neighborhood. So we are here to support that person. We're really excited about the opportunity. So if there aren't any other questions or remarks regarding that, we can make a note that we're going to move forward with the extension of the timeline for application.
Do we need to make a motion?
Do we need, oh yeah, I believe we do need to make a motion.
Yeah, so is there, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I'll move to make a motion. Can I get someone to
That we, I'm sorry, just to clarify, the motion is to
extend
extend
the date, I'm sorry.
the date of the youth application deadline from April
Yes.
19th to June 14th, is that?
I think
Or
the
is that
first week of
7th?
Friday.
Okay.
Let's take a look at that date.
So that's a Friday, yeah, they're both Friday, 7 and 14.
Maybe to say the Friday after the first closing of the school or something, so
Yeah.
it gives them the time to put in their application, review it, etc.
Some schools have, there's a lot of different end of school days, even within CMSD.
Right.
So
Okay.
I just think pick a date. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
So we'd be looking at Friday the 12th. But no, I'm sorry, that's Friday the 14th. Yep. Okay. 14th, okay.
So there's a motion on the table.
Yes, we have a motion on the table to extend the date of application from April 19th to June, Friday the 14th.
I second that motion.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much, everyone. All right, and lastly, but certainly not least, in terms of discussion points for our agenda, we're gonna move forward with public comment. So let me go ahead and pull forward my notes for that. All right, so just to kind of set ground rules here. Yes. I plan on doing that in my house. No, sorry. So we wanted to just kind of set the ground rules for public comment, but before we do so, just kind of reinforcing what I said at the top of our meeting for housekeeping, since we do have this new orientation for the room, which it is great, we want to make sure that we give full attention to the folks who are attending today for public comment. So when folks are stepping up to the podium, so to speak, for public comment, if those of you whose back is turned to the public can turn around so we can make direct contact. Thank you so much. And then just to kind of read through some of the procedures for public comment, all meetings of the speaker are open to the public. Members of the public shall always conduct themselves appropriately and prohibited from engaging in contact with any conduct that is disruptive or distracting. All speakers must pre-register. Any person wishing to participate in public comment portion of regular commission meetings shall register, using the registration form made available and provide the following information: name, ward, neighborhood, or city of residency, phone number, email address, and topic of discussion. And then if you are submitting the comment online, then the registration form must be submitted prior to the meeting as well. Any persons needing assistance, seeking reasonable accommodations such as for disability or language assistance must make a request at least 3 business days in advance. All registration information is considered public record. Emails, phone numbers may be subject to disclose as public record. All public comments made to commission meetings are considered public records. And so just to kind of set additional guidelines, no more than 10 speakers shall speak in a meeting, and 1 speaker has no more than 3 minutes to present their comment to the public. All right. Or
We need, I just want to pull up a timer just to
Yes.
keep track.
Thank
Questions, I'm gonna be doing public, since we are maybe have enough time, like go over 2 minutes.
That's why we're gonna keep track. So we're trying to, thank you for your question. So the question is, what if you go over? So it is limited to 3 minutes. Those are our rules. So we will keep track. I will try to be the, Divya, thank you. Divya will keep track of the 3 minutes, and then we'll let you know when your 3 minutes are up. Okay?
Since
We're just following what's in our rules of order.
Yeah, this is just procedure what we have to follow for public comments. Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right.
Do we have any online comments? Brent, I believe you sent some online comments. Okay. Can you drop those in the Teams? Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Secretary Zaremba. Sorry, I just want to make sure they were. These are the,
Yeah, but then we'll read out loud. Fantastic. So I will then ask for our first public comment from Von Farrow, related to utilities regulations, citizen and tax, and they're represented as a citizen and taxpayer. And I apologize if I just pronounced your last name. Please correct.
Yeah, so my comment is regarding utilities taking down trees. So on my block, the youngest massive sycamore was just taken down March 11th. So big, 2 days down. When it was to us. I think it's important to mention that these kind of pieces of infrastructure are part of our property values too. Like I know this group cares about our canopies, sustainability, ecosystems, as do I. Maybe as part of your work, just continue to reiterate the ways that large trees. So that came down. It was just massive. It was older than the homes around it. When you look at it on Google satellite, you can see the canopy took up 3 different, covered 3 different yards. And apparently it was Dominion that took it down. The tree company that took it down told me they had a standing contract. Was aiming for 3 from so much lumber was taken away. So this my question is, in the regulations in the ordinance, was every attempt made to get to that tiny little bell without putting down massive penalty? It's a little tiny bell below the ground, and it's a massive tree above the ground that gives all the benefits that you all know so well. So just wondering what might need to change in the regulations and ordinance to protect these canopy trees. What regulations do the Dominion follow? Should they have to follow to make every possible to save these? As far as I know, Dominion hasn't been there yet. I was told it was an emergency. Maybe they have been. 3 times a day as I walk by. It's been a.
30 seconds.
Last thing I just want to put over the record, a young boy and his dad played ball under that tree and shade that tree. Pretty much every day, that's not a winter snow day, just always out there. And that boy is now lost, all of the shade. So. So just hoping that the regulations can be as fair as possible, to save these things. Thank you.
Thank you.
We value and appreciate your public comment, and as our procedure, we will take note of that for public record and then follow up with form classes. Appreciate that. Thank you. Where our next public comment is from Clear Povers. Okay.
Oh, did you think this was the sign-in sheet?
I did.
Okay.
Apologies.
Okay,
Put you on the spot for a second.
it's an informal, yeah. So
Thank you.
next time we'll have the official.
Signing has to happen, what is it, 2 minutes?
Yeah,
beforehand?
5 minutes before the start of the meeting. Yeah. Correct.
Okay. Did you want to
There
read the
are-
comments from online?
Yes, let me pull them up here. Okay. Okay, so we have 3 comments. One is from, sorry, this is Jennifer Kipp speaking. One is from Mr. Ronald Rodriguez Jr. Sorry, this is actually in Excel format, so it's a little, okay, tricky to read. Okay, here we go. Mr. Rodriguez's comments are as follows. Turner Construction needlessly cut down over half a dozen mature trees in the public right-of-way along the health line adjacent to the Cleveland Foundation. How can the city planning and urban forestry commissions collaborate so that the impact on our tree canopy is considered for each new development in our city? That concludes Mr. Rodriguez's comment. The second comment is, it's like the name that's coming up is Rowan. And their comment is, let's enact and advertise an enforceable local ordinance requiring a permit to take down any tree, especially fruit trees. That concludes their comment. Third and final comment submitted by Jamie, no last name. Urban Forestry Commission. Since Mayor Bibb became a climate mayor and was enlightened as to how important trees and environment are to Cleveland, does the commission agree that Mayor Bibb should strive to save Kudell Commons Park along with its trees and green space from being devastated by a poorly designed school for the sake of building a new school? I would believe if any one of you truly felt any compassion in defining yourself associates of a climate mayor, you could prove yourselves by working with Mayor Bibb and the community of the Kudell area, Ward 15, in creating a school that will not interfere with the current footprint of the park green space and trees, and still design a much-needed school for the children going to Marion Seltzer School. Kudell Park was a gift from Frank Kudell, a famous Cleveland architect who was also very much into green environment, park settings, and flower gardens over 100 years ago. I am speaking to all of you and Mayor Bibb, for myself and for others who have been trying to negotiate a meeting on this issue, which has cost the taxpayers over $456,000 of taxpayer dollars in lawyers' fees to fight against us. The Friends of Kudell Commons Park, who want to save a park. All of this could have been settled at a meeting with the Kudell community. As a compassionate Kudell community homeowner, I would like to extend an invitation to the commission here to take a walk in Kudell Park and see why we are adamant on saving this gem in the city of Cleveland. Finally, and most ardently, I am asking you members of the Urban Forestry Commission to implore Mayor Bibb to be a hero, a climate mayor hero, and save Cudell Park. Thank you for your time. That concludes Jamie's comments and therefore all of the online public comments.
Thank you. We've made notes of all public comments mentioned before. We received this public record and follow up response following our full
Excuse me, if I may, Tom Kraber, I had an email sent to me in my role as policy committee chair, and our committee decided that we should read those into public comment. So I just want to acknowledge that we received a detailed proposal from Lizzie Swords and a subcommittee of the Ward 15 Tree Steering Committee requesting a heritage tree program ordinance in the city of Cleveland, which is a program that would designate certain trees in the city of historical or otherwise significance to the city, and would establish different rules and regulations around the care and maintenance.
Excuse me, Tom, do you actually have the statement from Lizzie Swords, the
I just
email
have
to read
a-
verbatim?
I do not.
Okay, so we could probably, all right, so you're paraphrasing, let's just state, that you're paraphrasing the email.
She emailed, yeah.
Okay,
She emailed it's like a 20-page proposal, so I'm not
Okay.
sure if it would be appropriate to read all into public comment, but
Oh,
I
right,
wanted to
sure.
acknowledge that.
okay. Thanks, Tom.
And Chairwoman, I had a procedural question, if I may. Okay. I wanted to just take a moment to, I think having public comment is certainly beneficial to this commission. I wanted to ask a clarifying question about the method in which the commission responds to public comments that are either given verbally or submitted online. Currently, the website has a link where we can read public comments that have been submitted online. I don't know if we have a methodology for formal response. I would love to hear a little bit more if the executive committee has discussed that. I think that ideally, I'm not sure if, so ideally, I think it would be beneficial for all public comment to have a public response rather than a response back to the individual who submitted it. But I would welcome any insights about any discussion that's taken place thus far about the method by which the commission will respond to public comment.
Absolutely. So as it stands right now with the executive committee, our formal process for response to public comment, especially public comment that is received either online or in person, is we take note of it during our commission member meeting, or we take note of it in the form that we have on the website. And then usually, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, there is an option to notify on the website if you want to have a formal response or make note of your comment.
That's a great question, Chairman, right now.
Okay.
I don't believe there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm mistaken, my apologies. Well, as it stands right now, our process to respond to public comment is either taking a look at the comment, seeing if it is just making statement for public record, or if there's a direct response that's needed to be had, for example, from the section of forestry. And then that is formally responded by an individual comment. But I do take into consideration what you stated, what is the best streamlined process, right, to make sure that not only are we adhering to our own procedures, but we're effectively responding to public comment in a timely manner, in a manner that has stability. And I think that is something we can still explore. We have our process, but that doesn't mean that process is fine.
On that, could I just add something to this? Thank you, Chair Malone, and thanks, Councilmember Spencer, for the question. So we do now have some actual letterhead, right? Some digital letterhead that we can actually respond as a commission. So are you asking, well, first, I think what I hear you asking is, what is the current process for responding to public comment? And then number two is, could we possibly explore what that process is and if it needs to be improved? Is that fair, if I'm hearing you
Yeah,
correctly?
I think it's
Okay.
an open question about the method by which the commission may choose to respond to public comments.
Mhm.
It could range from acknowledged and received to referred to committee for discussion to here's the direct response to a very specific and detailed question that was submitted.
Mhm.
But not all public comment is and many bodies do it differently. There's not a one size fits all. So I think we can, as a commission, determine for capacity reasons or other reasons how we wish to respond. I also did, I mean, it would be my preference that the committee have some response.
Yes.
Sure.
I do appreciate that right now that there's an intake. It's very public. You can go to the Urban Forestry Commission's page and you can click and see the intake on the comments that are submitted online. So you see what comes in, but then there's not a output process, but then there's also an interesting interplay because we have a lot of transparency with the input on written comment, but not the verbal.
Yes.
So that's another interesting question, right? How do we wish to document all comment received by the commission? And what would it take to do that? So I don't know if maybe it's a request, would that be at the executive committee level, that the executive committee discuss it and make a recommendation to the commission, or what do you think would be the best next step?
I think it would be great for the executive committee to have the opportunity to receive this feedback and have some internal dialogue and make a recommendation. But of course, in that recommendation, we wanted to receive feedback to make sure that we have captured their suggestions collectively. And of course, this is the only opportunity for us to elevate that. If there's anything following this, if you all think would be the procedural process, please feel free to reach out so we can begin to kind of like rethink what this process is. But I appreciate you elevating that. We do want to make sure, I think that I speak for this whole body, we want to make sure that we maintain this sense of transparency across the board. So if there's anything that we can do to improve that, especially from the public as well as the commission's eyes, we're willing and flexible to work through that decision.
And I think one of the questions that maybe we want to consider, which I'd like to hear from other commission members, is an example that you said, like we can create a different, based on the comment, it receives this one of 5 different responses, right? Like we need to be able to vet it and determine like, we definitely want to acknowledge, right? Like if it were me, I would want to know, like, if I couldn't tune into this or whatever, I would want to make sure that my comment was received, acknowledged, read at this day, at this meeting, or something like to that. So I like the idea of just exploring some different, just different ways of relating and circling back with the person who made the public comment. So anyone who has got something to also add to the conversation? So I think it's good. It's really important for us to, maybe even just make sure we're all on the same page in terms of the transparency that our chairperson is saying. I think we're all committed to that, right? That's why we're here, right? And so many of us are public servants. So, did you have to do something more?
And I really appreciate the fact that we're talking about keeping a process here open and transparent. So thank you, Councilman, for elevating that. I do think if it's a public comment, it definitely response, could have a formal public response, recorded response. And this is just in the in view of full transparency in general as how we're trying to build this system up. I think unless something is extremely sensitive, that we put it up as a public response. Unless there is a response requested from the person who is making the comment to say that we'd like to have something written and prolong the conversation or take this further. Anything that we discussed and asked in open, I appreciate that it comes out in open also because it becomes a case of reference for somebody else having a similar process to be able to look, learn, and see how that's tackled.
So thank you for elevating that. And I think that's the beauty of having a body of advisors is that we can have these types of conversations. We can think through what best process is, and if best process begins to not work, then we can make adjustments. So we can absolutely continue to explore that, and I look forward to exploring what that process is. So we'll definitely have some additional conversations, including this meeting. Well, we are making pretty good on time. So I just wanted to let you all know, thank you so much for attending today's meeting. I really appreciate the full discussion as well. Honored to serve alongside this body of commissioners. And I'd like to also thank our attendees for attending today. As voices and advocates of the community, continue to stay involved and engaged. We have our next commission meeting, our full commission meeting, which will take place on July 9th, same time, 4 to 5:30 p.m. here. And I would like to move forward and say if I could put forth a motion to adjourn today's meeting, if there aren't any additional comments. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
What do we think?